let's talk about mistletoe therapy and what it is and what's your relationship with this powerful plant.
Sure. It's such a funny thing because it's definitely not a one, like this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, that's the seduction that's out there always in
Always.
eat
Yeah.
PMF, I mean everything, keto,
Yeah.
Vegan, whatever, always something. Everyone's like, oh, the one target, the one treatment. That doesn't exist. So this therapy is it's the most consistent integrative oncology therapy in the world. It's the most studied integrative oncology therapy in the world. It has over 2,600 good published peer-reviewed studies, published on it, as well as about 250 of them that we would consider really good gold standard in the United States through our system. I was helped with the IRB and the construction of a study that happened and was published in 2022 from Hopkins, which was phase 1 clinical trial, because that's how we roll here. Like
that's how we roll.
And everywhere else, and it's totally safe, and we know the dosing, and we know the overall survival, and we know the progressive-free survival, but we have to start here on our soil because apparently we think we're the best medical system in the world, despite we're 36th in the world. Just saying.
Yeah, behind Cuba.
Yeah, just crazy. And a lot of wasted money, time, and energy. Which, by the way, when that started was in 2014, and it just got published in 2022. They did it for a phase 1. Phase 2 will take another 10 years. Phase 3, another. So we're looking at the 17-year gap before we say in the US, yes, this is a safe and effective therapy. So I say that to just get on my soapbox there, to show you how dysfunctional our system is. The other side of it is this crazy, very controversial character, philosopher, Rudolf Steiner, who the man has issues, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. Extremely controversial. And yet things like permaculture, Waldorf school education, sacred geometry and architectural design, and medicine has a lot to thank his craziness for, right? And so mistletoe is one of those therapeutics that started being used in 1917 as a treatment in the same form as an injectable that it is still used today, which is very interesting that it's maintained the time. We started doing studies on its IV application in the 50s. We started doing intratumorals in the 70s. Like, we have known that this was our powerful immune therapy for a long time, and everyone scoffed at, poo-pooed, and ignored the immune system until we could monetize it in standard of care today, to that being the prominent driver of standard of care therapy today, despite the fact we've actually had a really cheap and effective tool for a very long time. But what I love about it is the anthroposophical philosophy behind this medicine. And this is what differentiates it of being just a tool versus a field, okay? For lack of a better word, in that in anthroposophical philosophy, cancer is a disconnect, okay? It's a loss of rhythm, and it's a disconnect from the micro, so down to like the molecular metabolic disconnection, cell signaling ways, et cetera, all the way up to the macro of like to other, to self, to other, to God, to the community. And so it's a full-on disconnected process. It's also a complete loss of rhythm. And so on the planet today, especially in the last 100 years, we have all lost our rhythm. You can, what's up is down, what's down is up. You can now work 24/7 under blue light. Your body, Americans spend less than 15 minutes outdoors every day. Like, just, you start to recognize women are like giving themselves Depo-Provera to avoid having any periods. We're completely normalizing right, like all the things, right? Exactly. We're disconnected and we're dysrhythmic. What anthroposophical understood the mistletoe to do is to reestablish connection, rhythm, and a mantle of warmth, which has a lot of, that could go in a lot of directions, energetically, physically, spiritually. It is a warming therapy. It is a fever induction therapy, something else we've spent the last 50 years like suppressing, right? We actually dropped our body temperature in the last 100 years because of these type of suppressive therapies, which means our immune system is off track. And so it reestablishes the natural endogenous rhythms and connections inside, but also outside. And so one of my favorite side effects of mistletoe is this improvement in quality of life. Massive. And the other favorite thing about mistletoe is it is a remedy that has always been with other therapies. It plays well with others. There are virtually no contraindications. And
Mm.
so it was used historically with radiation, with chemotherapy, with surgery, now with endocrine blocking therapies, targeted therapies, and even immune therapies. And so it's got this beautiful, like, plays well with others
Mm.
approach to it. And so it's a therapy that can enhance and support a lot of other therapies. You talked about the importance of stacking earlier. This is one of those that I like to stack into the mix of people actively cancering, or those looking at the long haul, especially with very aggressive types of cancers, familial, genetically kind of driven types of cancers,
Mm-hmm.
and high risk of recurrence type of cancers. This is a stack I like to bring into the mix.
Mm.
Yeah, we actually have a book co-published with 6 other really brilliant authors in this space, anthroposophical gurus in this space. It's a nonprofit book. All the funds go to research. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Mistletoe and the Emerging Future of Integrative Oncology. And it really goes into this history and this concept of the mantle of warmth and the concept of disconnect. But it also talks about what does it mean in current and future integrative oncology care.
Yeah, beautiful.